Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Deep in Happy Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Quez, joined here by my man Brad, Brian, and Tyler, all legends in the game. And man, there's been a lot happening in the last week. And I think the one thing I'm going to open up with is what happened with Bitcoin? We saw a surge up, we went tiny bit sideways, and then immediate like 5% dip, something like that. We dipped below 90K, I think, this morning. Why is that? What is happening in the market, guys?
What do you guys think?
It's tumultuous.
I mean, it's all market manipulation at this point. Let's be honest here.
I think so. I definitely think so.
We got enough big players in the game. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think so too. I mean, I think October 10th was like messed up a lot of market makers, in my opinion, with like Binance. And I think Binance is working with some of these market makers to let them know where the positions are, where they need to take it to flush people out. And they're trying to make them whole. That's what I think is happening right now. And I think they're trying to do it as much as they can and as quickly as possible before the Clarity Act gets passed. Because I really do think so. Because I think it's going to make it harder for them. There's going to be more scrutiny. So I think they're trying to take advantage of this time while they still have it. But hopefully that gets passed soon and we can put this behind us. All things considered, though, guys, like I have to say, I'm pretty shocked we're still sitting at $92,000 right now. You consider the liquidation event on October 10th was 9 times larger than any other liquidation event, including like the COVID crash, FTX, like any of that, like 9 times larger. And there are people that say it's probably a lot bigger than that. Then you consider all the whales that, the silent IPO that Jordy Visser talks about, but we've had a ton of whales sell. Like and I think it was like September alone, 2% of the total supply of Bitcoin changed hands from Bitcoin whales. So all that sell pressure, the biggest liquidation event in history, and we're sitting at 92K is kind of wild.
We also have more Bitcoin owners than ever before as well. So while it's been changing hands, I would also make this argument that it's falling into people that are, I don't know, holding for longer conviction. I don't know. I think the whole whales thing is also very odd, right? Because if there's even belief, or maybe, I don't know, it's like over 10 years holding, right? Like at some point you want to take some profit. Maybe now it feels like a good time. It's really hard to assess the whole thing. We were talking about this a little bit before we started the stream, which was, we're sitting here mid-December, and a year ago, this same exact time, the same date, going into 2025 was like, oh my God, we're going to see the craziest face melting market, like just astronomical evaluations of what tokens should be at and adoption and usage and blah, blah, blah. And man, what a bust. What an absolute like mean year, really tough year.
You know what I think you can point it back to is the Trump meme coin. Trump meme coin just was the turning point, the catalyst for everything to go down.
Yeah, I think Trump meme coin wiped the little bit of retail that we had. I mean, the retail wasn't here like they were in the last market cycle. I mean, we had the meme coin rotations, don't get me wrong, and we did have retail. We had a little bit of a deep in rally, in March, really, of 2024. But other than that, I think retail has been largely absent. It's been institutionally led. So I agree, Tyler. I think that the Trump meme coin and the Argentina meme coin back to back, I think crushed the liquidity from retail that we had.
100%.
And from there, and then we were talking about this too, like a lot of the catalysts that took place this year, not all, but a lot of them got baked in after the election leading up to inauguration. Like we had a huge run up. And I think a lot of that was the expectation of a lot of the things that took place. Everyone's like, well, how come we're not seeing things pump off this news? It's like, well, it already kind of did. I mean, some of these things were very expected. And then it's just been institutionally led. So you've got Bitcoin's has run. I mean, they have, their ETFs. They have the strategic reserve, right? So that kind of led that. MicroStrategy obviously has been buying a lot. You've got Ethereum with the Stablecoin Act, and you have spot ETFs there. Deep in and low cap and small caps haven't had a path for institutional money to flow in yet.
Well,
yet.
What do you think the life cycle has been for retail to come in? Are they buying up, holding for 6 months, trying to exit, or they get scared and paper hands it?
I mean, I feel like if you look at the historical price runs, 2017, kind of the 21, 22 era, you didn't have a very long-term hype cycle where you got retail people coming in and they were sticking around. Like after a few months, 5-6 months max, maybe, I feel like that's kind of it. And then retail goes, oh yeah, this is, screw this crypto crap, going back to whatever I was doing beforehand. And then inevitably some other catalyst happens. I think the meme coin revolution or the meme coin craze was part of it. And then that was sort of solidified or maybe ended by the Trump meme coin. And then I think the Argentina one was very much a part of why the retail traffic died off. And so, without those, some continuation from those 6-month windows where it's just drawdown after drawdown, they disappear and then they come back whenever the next new thing is hot.
Well, I think retail gets bored. Like they get tired of following the narrative. And now that they've seen like 3 or 4 cycles essentially go through, they're like, I'm just done. I go in, I dump some money into the market, I lose 75%, it goes up 300%. I lose all but 50% of what I invested, and then I'm out. It's just they don't know when to exit, really.
I think a big problem also is that for retail, a lot of this is still very unpredictable, right? It's like the narrative is what gets sold, and then they come in on the idea that, oh, well, I'm going to be able to 5x my money, 10x, whatever. And that doesn't quite turn out that way. And now it's like, cryptos look at this evil thing. There was this really cool article going around the Ethereum community from Balaji, who used to be part of the Optimism team, where he talked about that one of the more interesting avenues for retail to come in is going to be low yield DeFi, right? So not even anything astronomical, but what people in retail are going to want is something stable, predictable, and safe for their money to be in, right? So like, and if it's even, I mean, a bank doesn't offer you anything better. Most banks are at like 0.01% on your savings, and that's what you are getting on a dividend. Right? If you, as a stable coin issuer or as a exchange, or I know people have different ways of keeping their crypto assets, but if you can guarantee something better than that and show people that it's a very safe and easy way to earn on the money that they have, whether by staking or whatever, I think that's probably going to be the largest avenue by which people enter the space again, because it's no longer this illusion or narrative or story that's being sold to them. It's just more so like, hey, like your 10K or whatever that you have sitting on a savings account isn't really earning you very much. You could put that same 10K as US dollar, right? Like using stablecoin and earn 10% on it. Why not?
Yeah. I think the one maybe pushback I'd have on that is call it either the friction of onboarding or more importantly, kind of the friction of actually understanding how some of these things work to feel comfortable enough to want to participate.
Yeah.
I mean, there are enough anecdotes of things like the Terra Luna collapse where, yes, you can get outsized returns, but I don't know if the normal retail investors are going to be, if they're going to be risk on enough to be able to participate, even though it may look on paper like a totally safe bet and you can get twice the yield that you can get in a bank account. But I do think that there will be opportunities that maybe are a little bit different. Like obviously you guys know I'm a big believer in USDAI. I think that narrative is one that you don't have to have a super technical understanding of, AMMs or just all of the DeFi components to realize, okay, these AI assets that they are collateralizing are actually super valuable. They're able to generate yield. And so you can have an outsized return there. I could see projects like that being able to adopt or sort of create the adoption curve a little bit more aggressively, but more exotic DeFi services or platforms. I just don't know if they're going to get their mind around it enough to feel comfortable.
For sure. I mean, just to add here is, I think the only way that happens is probably through trusted names. We were also talking earlier about how Bank of America is about to be rolling out their own stablecoin product or something of the sort. Um, I think these are the things that they'll probably stand behind, is the names that they trust, as opposed to pump something fun yield DeFi protocol, whatever, that they never heard of. It's totally decentralized and anybody could use it. Super cool, but I don't know what it is. My homie doesn't know what it is, so like I'm gonna roll with this option instead.
I think what USDAI is doing is fascinating. But I would say in general, if I mean, we saw this with like Terra Luna, right? We saw this with several different centralized entities in the last market cycle. People thought they were able to get 10-15% returns risk-free. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're getting double the yield of a money market, it's not risk-free. Like, how are they getting that yield to give you that yield? Like, they're taking on risk somewhere. There's risk associated with that. There's no free lunch, man. Like, that's absolutely crazy. Something that broke yesterday, though, I thought was interesting. Japan's regulatory agencies are, for digital assets, they're going to start requiring centralized exchanges to have either cash reserves in the events of like a hack, or at least have insurance to keep all of their customers whole. And I think that would give peace of mind to people. But like, Quest, to your point, for people to feel, it's one thing is feeling comfortable. The other thing is like, it has to be easy. It has to be like someone going into their bank or into their, traditional TradFi investment platform. It has to be that easy. No one's going to want to download a freaking MetaMask wallet and bridge assets and go to a DeFi protocol and sign 2 freaking smart contracts, to make this shit happen. Like, and I think the UI is going to get a lot better, especially with like the big money now and the banks getting involved. Like, they're going to make the UI super easy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to see a lot of that change. But I still, like, generally speaking, if the yield looks too good to be true, it's generally too good to be true.
Yep. I do want to drill into the USDAI. I had a question for Tyler, but well, fuck it. Why don't we just start there real quick? Brad mentions like half of the battle is just making it easy for people. How do you think a company like USDAI reaches the retail audience, right? Like what's the means by which they can hit up my cousin, who, by the way, this is the extra point I wanted to make, is like there's also a gap between people's bank account and people opening a 401k. Like even that, a traditional means of investing your money, there is, and I know plenty of people in their mid 20s or mid 30s, probably around there, but like from mid 20s to mid 30s that don't have a 401k. And I mean, again, just to the audience out there, I'm not saying that this is a requirement of your life, but like it's not something that is common knowledge per se. Like I think it's a little narrow-minded to say that this is a common, that people know about how these things work, much less how to even get involved, right? Like where to start, where do I open a 401k? So Tyler, my question to you and the rest of the group is, how does someone like USDAI that offers like really, really competitive yield on actual value being produced, how do they reach our cousins, our brothers, sisters, aunties, etc.?
Yeah. I mean, I think that this challenge is one that affects all crypto related projects. And ultimately, in my opinion, it boils down to one of 2 things. Obviously, the UX needs to be there so that you can create a frictionless experience that people can just do, that they don't need to have this insider knowledge on being able to participate. And then I think the other thing is channel partners, right? Like we've had a lot of what I'd call success in the deepen space by being able to get, customers or people engaged by proxy of other, normal services. And so I think Helium's one of the best examples, which is just it's a free phone plan that runs on your device and you don't really need to know anything else. And so they've cracked both sides of that equation with good UX that makes it very frictionless while simultaneously offering a product that's easy for people to wrap their minds around, and that becomes potentially a gateway into other things. So I think that is a true problem that every crypto related company is going to have to overcome. It's, where do you get your distribution from? How do you make sure that it's something that's understandable? And then also when you do get them ready to join and sign up, that it's so easy that you don't have to have any concept of crypto to be able to participate. Which is also something I think you guys have done a pretty good job with on the 375 Go app, right? You just download it, it just runs, it just works. You can earn crypto. There's maybe a few things in there that you have to figure out in terms of bridging money, sending money, figuring out what to do with your wallet. But those are claiming. Yeah. I mean, those are things that can be obfuscated or sort of improved with over time, but getting the gateway of customer acquisition it's not predicated on actual Web3 users necessarily I think is the holy grail.
I can tell you, being in the community, we have a lot of people who have never used crypto. Like I've had the pleasure of walking people through like what are wallets, how do they sign, what does it mean to sign something, and every time I do that, I'm reminded like this shit is mad hard. Like I could see how anybody would get like someone who's just accustomed to things kind of being obvious, like your bank account is like, it just kind of feels obvious. You got a username and a password and you log in and then you can manage your money however you got to do it, and away you go, right? So I hear that. We definitely have tried to abstract away as much. If you look closely on the app, there's very, very little that has to do with crypto. Like there's very little reference to it. Especially in the case of the 375 Edge nodes, even like owners of those nodes or the data that we produce, like none of it has to do with like, oh, and like this is all built on top of crypto rails and that's what makes it valuable. It's like, no, it's like crypto rails kind of have their part in the ecosystem in terms of like getting rewards in a trustless way, like distributed to as many people. Great. But it's not the value driver itself. Whereas something like a stable coin today, the value drive is that, well, I could send, as opposed to me having a Bank of America account, I want to send $5 to my cousin in Spain. Like, I have to go through a whole bunch of loops, and the value add of a stable coin is very much that, well, there is no loops. I have my cousin's address and I send it to him, and yeah, it's done. So there is a give and take there. And I hear that, right? It's like reaching the crowd is going to be difficult. And things have to be.
I think that's one of the things I've been really impressed by Stripe in how they've executed on the stablecoin go to market. Obviously, they're a huge payments company, and so they see that this is the next evolution of where money's kind of going. But they acquired Privy, which is, in my opinion, probably the best example of being able to totally remove friction from the wallet experience with crypto. And then yesterday they announced they acquired the team for Valora, and they had built what was a peer-to-peer app, but they also had some pretty novel functionalities and features in it. Like there's one of the things that they have is a way that you can create a payments link. And so you're able to effectively just text crypto to any person in your phone book. And then if they click that link, it does all the wallet things in the background. And so I'm personally quite excited to see how Stripe, which primarily focuses on Web2 SaaS companies, trying to make payments as frictionless as possible. And they've, I think, been arguably the most successful in that space. How they're going to continue iterating and just pushing the adoption curve further by bringing down that barrier to entry, because they've just made good acquisitions in that space to be able to execute. And historically, they've done a really good job of executing generally. So if they can do it once, I think they'll be able to do it again.
Yeah, let me speaking of Privy, man, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. Obviously they don't have anything for me to own, but this was news today that came out. So Klarna For those folks who aren't in the US, I mean, I don't know if they're global or not, but they are a kind of like how do you say this?
Klarna,
Yeah, it's a
like a
buy
payment
now.
plan
Yeah, exactly. A buy
service.
now,
Yeah,
pay over time kind of thing.
yeah.
And they're partnering with Privy to make a wallet, you know. So what is this? To develop a simple, secure crypto wallet to masses, right? And like Privy has done all of the heavy lifting here. And Klarna gets to just build right on top of those rails, you know, kind of make their UI however they want to, which is super cool. Let me see if I can get out of here.
Klarna. Klarna's like keeping Uber Eats in business. People are like doing like layaway for food delivery, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're collateralizing burritos right now. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. Lai says, Lai, sorry. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but great minds, and I couldn't agree more. They are very, very sharp group of individuals over there. Fun fact, I did shoot my shot at their co-founder once. They were looking to hire for a tech sales role. It was like a more complicated tech sales role, but like Simply or whatever, it was tech sales. And I didn't get close to getting the job, but I did get a meeting with them, so that was kind of fun. But who they wanted was someone with like way more experience, and it makes sense, right? Because like they're fucking stacked. They're a great team, so I'm big fans.
And
By the way, Trivia whatever just posted something which I think is really timely and also super interesting in the space right now, which is Silencio and Wingbits have announced stablecoin rewards in the last month, trying to entice people outside of just native token rewards. I have been of the opinion for quite some time that I think this will become the new norm in the next evolution of DePIN. And so I don't think that you need to exclusively have a stablecoin solution, but I do. And we're starting to see it. I think there's going to be a lot of other companies that begin to have a stablecoin mechanism for incentivizing people. And as revenue comes in, they can make things a little bit more standardized where you don't have these massive drawdowns. They can still create kind of the incentive on the supply side if they do it correctly. But I think it's going to be a great case study to see how these different companies that they have, you know, like in Silencio's case, they're saying we are supply side strapped. We need more people to participate. What does that look like for increasing the adoption curve for people that can, you know, come in and actually move the needle so that they can satisfy the demand? I think it's a great time to be witnessing this in the space.
Well, and it kind of avoids a lot of the problems with having to go out and launch a token and get it on the platforms and play those games. You're just releasing stable coins. It's just makes it really simple. You don't have to have a crazy amount of overhead. It doesn't take as much time. So it's very interesting to see what they're doing. And I think we're going to see more projects that don't want to play those games. So
yeah, I mean, I get it as far as like attracting participation, but at the same time, like that means that is, as opposed to tokens you can kind of create out of thin air that should, you know, have future value. You're now dipping into your equity or investment capital or wherever that came from for participation. So, you know, one of the things about DePIN, you know, as a project founder would be, hey, like we can kind of bootstrap our network with these tokens. So you're kind of fighting that now. I think Silencio, like it obviously makes sense. Like they have enough interest. They probably have enough contracts that they feel comfortable offering that. I think Wingbits, they did something where it's like, hey, we're delaying our TGE. So if you want to get paid out in stables, you can. But I think they did it at like a value that most people won't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So I think it was more of an optics thing from them, and that's fine. But
Sure.
But for Silencio, it's super interesting. I mean, their CEO is coming on our space on Tuesday, so we'll be able to ask him questions about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely joining that space. I did just share my screen here, which was the post from Brad. Fuck it, I'll share it again if you guys don't mind. I got rid of it. No, I didn't.
Didn't you just drop his referral code?
And I also dropped the referral code because, man, bro, I think, bro, the work that this guy does, the work that all these guys do is brilliant. But like, this is what I wanted to highlight real quick. So, you know, Brad was talking about how there is effectively some balance to be had, right? So when a project founder is able to bootstrap a network and they have their own token, right? Like you're dipping into your into your reserves or whatever, your equity, by offering things in stables, but you could still offer incentives, right? So like, okay, you can earn $10 in stables, or you can earn 20 in Silencio.
Yeah, it's smart.
That's compelling, right? It's like, yo, I can earn double for the same work, and it's just all I have to do is take an extra step if I want to sell, or if I want to speculate on this, I can. Like you're inviting the users to still decide on their own what is worthwhile, all for the same amount of time and the same amount of work. So I think that's a really, really brilliant choice on their end. And I'm telling you, dude, like this is going to be studied in the history books. Silencio's pivot from just picking up audio, like sound, to the ears of AI and robotics, like generational pivot.
Yeah, it seems to be working.
100%.
I wasn't sold on it at first, honestly. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, but it seems it's working really well for them.
Super well.
Yeah,
I see them mentioned everywhere. They get thrown in with tons of robotic projects left and right, and I'm just like, bro, like 6 months ago, no fucking shot, no shot, no. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a hater, but like, I wasn't sold initially. And Brad, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, I just wasn't sold. And then you see them now, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I think, I know Brad talks about this a lot, but we also have these conversations, which is why it's important to bet on good founders, because I think that, yes, maybe 6 months ago, it didn't look like there was going to be sufficient demand, but on the early start of the project, you could envision a world where some of this data might be valuable enough for people to pay for and have it be a business that's not going to be hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, but maybe there's a market there and you could kind of justify it. And so as time went on and that became a little bit more difficult to realize, being able to recognize that they had a mechanism for getting people to participate that was working, but it's like, where are we going to actually monetize this? And so I love the pivot that they've made. I think, it just goes to show that you can try things, iterate, have some ingenuity to it, and then you can succeed. But I also think what Brad said on the point of being able to attract supply side participants, that you can't discount the importance of the token in the general life cycle of these deep-in networks. And so over time, you can have an evolution or kind of an iteration on how the distribution system might work, or what that actually looks like for the value or sort of the utility of the token. But it would be I think it'd be a really hard thing to do from the very get-go, of just not offering a native token and simply trying to rely on stables. But
Quez, will you pull that post up again one more time?
Bro's like, we didn't share the referral code. The same one, your post?
Yeah. I was gonna say there was a message below there. I want to zoom in on real quick. What's that message down there? Oh wait, yeah. The one at my follow-up message.
Oh, that one with the referral.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, you gotta zoom in on that real quick.
That 0DRF3N.
Just in case. Yeah. Just in case you guys didn't see it.
Couldn't see that very well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, well, Brad, listen, I'll tell you what, man. I gave you a fat shout out in our Hexnicians chat in the 375 AI Discord server. So hopefully people did follow through and give you a little referral bonus there. I love it. I love it when you just provide very valuable info, and makes my life easier as a community manager, because I just be like, look at this. This is great.
I appreciate that, man. You guys see the post I just posted like 12 minutes ago? We were on here.
No, I gotta peep that. Yo, but I do want to give a shout here to my man. What's up, Jaja? Deep in collaboration token incentives. Does awareness outweigh the stable's value? Deep in collaboration token incentives. Maybe I don't know if I'm understanding that correctly. Token incentives. Does awareness outweigh the stable?
Is he saying like if you give out stables, you're able to get non-crypto people in? Is that awareness worth more than the participation itself? Is that what you're saying?
I guess you can make the argument that it's like, is it worth losing the equity from the stablecoin side by paying that out?
It's up to you to decide, really, right?
Yeah,
I would say that's the question.
I think as a marketing cost almost.
That's how I would look at it. Absolutely, is like very much okay. I told my friend who happens to have 5 hours and a whole microphone set up and a whole thing, and they just have 5 hours free every week. And I told them that they could earn $50 for that 5 hours of work. Like they deem that to be worthwhile. Then yeah, sure. Like I'll pay that. Cause now next week, if he decides that he has that 5 hours again, he might say, you know what, I'm gonna earn double on my money by earning in Silencio instead. And suddenly you get a conversion. That person joins the community, and like now they're seeing the vision. And I don't know. I think it's worthwhile. I look at it, yes, as a marketing cost. That's a great observation, Brian. We're sharing now. The co-founder of Solana Labs just bull posted DeepIn. If you're not diving into this world, what are you waiting for? You should be nerd sniped by DeepIn. That's a bar. That's a
All right, everybody tag him.
Yeah, I'm about to. Yo, we should just invite him. We should invite him onto the show.
Yeah, totally. Here's the link. Jump on. Let's talk about DeepIn.
Literally.
That's pretty wild, huh? He's got like 660,000.
I'm gonna invite him right now. Hold on.
So what's funny is a year ago we were talking about Silencio a lot, just because we were all big fans of the project. And like 6 months ago, we're like, oh, it just doesn't look like it's going to work out. Now that they made that switch, we were all kind of doubting it. Now they made the move to the stables. I think it's interesting that, we made the comment that, yeah, it's not going to be probably $100 million a year revenue project, but even if it's just, let's just say it gets $2 million a year and it cans out 50-60% of that in rewards, I think it's a success. Honestly, most small businesses at a profit margin are giving away 60% of revenue would be doing really, really phenomenal.
And they just increased their TAM a lot, and their market cap's 1.78 million right now. So I mean, they're under a $2 million market cap. FDV is 10, but that's low. That's super fucking low. And I think after they pivoted, like they have actual contracts to the point where they're like, hey, giving out stables for participation. Like to me, that's a one that people should be looking at while the market's down like this.
Okay, so I got a question, Brad. I think Brad and Tyler are probably really good for this question. So the new narrative really is robotics going forward. As somebody who feels like they're underexposed in robotics right now, what would you guys suggest somebody like me get into token wise? I know we have like Aoki and stuff like that, but what would you suggest? Is there any other way in other than just straight up buying tokens?
Straight up. Oh, you mean like to participate and earn tokens or something like that?
Participate, own hardware, buyout robots. What's going to be the narrative going forward for deployers?
Have you looked at
capture value?
I've looked at it a little bit. I haven't dove all the way.
I'm bringing them on next Thursday. Tyler and I are gonna have a little shindig with them. Dude, this group is enabling everyday people to get exposure to like the top robotics companies, not just crypto, but like the actual robotics companies where you normally need a few $100,000 to invest. So you can see, let me look at their.
This is like Figure, Sunday. These are like Unitron, right? Like these are all the big names in robotics, like the ones that make the robots, right? And if you want to get some value capture out of that, then Ex Machina is quite an impressive group to do that. I was a little skeptical about their approach initially. But what's super cool is that they actually are willing to do this for a lot of projects. I mean, we're actually, this is like unofficial, just a conversation, but we're discussing potentially doing this, but for 375 edge nodes. They've expressed interest in that. And by they, I mean like the community, because all of this is about proposals as well. So, but yeah, this is a full-on DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, and people vote for what they want. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Brad, I love. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just say like check this shit out. Like you can see their total treasury amount. You can see their portfolio. If you go down here, you can see like in 1x they have $800,000. And a lot of these are like not public companies yet. Right? These are pre IPO rounds of investment, but you wouldn't be able to do this. I'm not going to speak for everyone. Like, so there's some people with some deep pockets out there, but a lot of people one would love to get into these types of investments, but they don't have $1 million to freaking drop on, common shares before their IPOs. So on this one, I was looking at like Aptronic. They got in at 450K. That their allocation to this is up already 103%. It's now valued at $911,000. So that's like being able to get in early on the front end of this robotics sector. And these are going to be the leading companies, man. You got Figure in here. Like they have, they're already up 8% on that, and we're early, man. These are the top robotics companies, and they all go up for a vote. So they had one that recently failed. But they just passed the vote that they're going to have their TGE soon. So to me, this would be one that would make a lot of sense if you want to get exposure to not only robotics and crypto, but robotics in general. And I couldn't be more bullish on a sector right now.
Yeah, so when I had Mauricio on, I think it was back in March on the pod to kind of talk through what they're doing, and it was one of those things where it's a really interesting concept and idea. You're talking about kind of the forefront of robotics and AI, and then you're also implementing the DAO structure. And so my initial thought was this is a ton of execution risk, because obviously running DAOs have historically been somewhat challenging. They've experienced things that have made the longevity a little bit questionable. And then you're also talking about investing in these different companies, but they had a good approach to kind of managing the DAO aspect between the different effectively sub DAOs that were implemented for each investment type. So you could have, you could couch your exposure if you wanted to. But then just their ability to get in front of these projects and actually participate has been, I think, really impressive. So they're cranking on all cylinders.
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree. And, I asked Mauricio, I was like, so which robotics projects are you excited about? Because, I just like any narrative that you see that's getting traction, everyone tries to pivot and say they're a robotics project now, Aoki and GeoNet were two he absolutely was behind. And then the two other ones he mentioned that looking to get on, Open Mind. So I would say get that one on your radar. I asked Tyler about them. He said like they're super legit. I haven't done a deep dive on them yet, but 162,000 followers. So that's one I would say get on your radar. The other one is this Prisma X. I don't know if it's Prisma X or Prisma X, but this is the other one he mentioned. So I would say those are a couple to dive into. This weekend I plan on digging in pretty deep on both of these. So
nice. Yeah. The other thing I would add for individuals who are curious to get involved is like you could also be a builder, particularly with what exists today, builder, deployer, etc. We talked about GeoNet a lot on this show. Rover is another one that we're really excited about. But being a participant in these networks, I think, is also a great opportunity. Me personally, I am so excited. It's my Christmas gift to myself. I bought a pair of the Mentra smart glasses.
Nice.
And I will be using them very, very closely with Aoki. I'll be setting up my own domain around my place and just trying to, I don't even know exactly what I'm going to build, but it just feels like for $200 or whatever, $300, I can expose myself to one of the greatest emerging verticals of technology that humanity will ever know, deep and not included, because that's the greatest. But whatever, that's my opinion. But we could do that and in a fun, harm-free way, I guess, right? Because it's not like there's dollars on the line there, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think there's opportunities there if you're interested in building, for sure.
I'm all for it, as long as you're exposing yourself in a harm-free way.
Harm-free meaning you're not going to hopefully like lose all your money.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I know what you meant.
We do not incentivize harm here. Oh man.
I do think this is another one. I feel like the picks and shovels analogy is very much overused in crypto. Like everybody's trying to build picks and shovels and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in the case of the robotics plays, there's you be safer betting on the picks and shovels in that case, because you're already seeing the adoption curve. So it's not one of those theoretical, like, who's going to win. There's already a couple people that have built the building blocks for these various companies to leverage their resources, and it is a 1 and 1 is 3 kind of scenario. So I think the GeoNets of the world, the Rovers of the world, the companies that are part of the intercognitive movement are good picks and shovels to bet on, if you want to use that term.
Yeah, if you guys don't follow Intercognitive, by the way, highly recommend. The folks they follow are also probably worth checking out as well. So just opinion there. They do follow 375.
I think there's a lot.
Are you guys part of Intercognitive?
No, official way, but
I follow them. That's about it.
Oh, but I think it was asking if 375 was a part of them.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Is like officially no, but who's to say that behind the scenes those things aren't happening? Who said that? Yeah,
it wasn't Quez.
It wasn't me. Yeah, it was my alter ego. So,
have you guys ever had like a robot vacuum in your house?
We used to have a Roomba.
Yeah,
like a Roomba.
Yeah, like a Roomba.
Shit is so lame. Sucks.
I agree. I was gonna say, I think that's like the one downfall to robotics right now. Everyone's sitting back. I had a Roomba and it sucked. It kept getting stuck on things. But I think once like a vehicle, like an autonomous vehicle, pulls up to your yard and like 3 robots get out, mow and edge your yard, and then load up and drive away, it's a game changer. The world will see what happens. So,
well, I think that the technological curve in terms of what these things are capable of has significantly improved over time. I mean, I have one of the early gen robotic vacuums, and it basically would just bump into walls until it hopefully it'd clean the entire floor. And then, they have these sensors that you could set up that would try to confine it to a specific area. But, even if you just watch, you don't even have to be super deep into the robotic space, but if you just watch some of the things that Optimus can do with, with Tesla or even their autonomous vehicles, like that, the quality curve or just the advancement has increased so significantly that when people do get their first experience with the new version of these different robotics platforms, it's a night and day difference between the stupid robot that would just bump into the walls and get stuck or go off the stairs.
And robotic fighting leagues are showing up now, so that's pretty damn cool. So,
which is amazing.
I saw a video of some guy. He's like, "This is what it's like to be an American living in China with your family." When they drop off, he lived in a high rise, and when the food delivery service shows up, they literally just put the food in a fucking robot, and it like gets on the elevator and takes the food up from there to your door. Like, what?
Yeah.
And all their payment, he's like, you don't have to bring your phone anywhere. He's like, I just scan, my finger to get in my door. But he's like, even at all the stores, he just puts it scans his palm, and that's all his payment is done through his palm. I'm like, that's nuts, man.
It's like, that is a little, crazy. Whatever, advanced, scary. I don't know. But China is just so ahead of the US in terms of the robotics adoption. It's much more common to see robotics playing their course. I was watching a food delivery service in China, like videos of food delivery services, drones that would fly around and go into drop points in specific neighborhoods because it's like just very highly condensed. So, if you were living in a building, you would come downstairs and then there's like a food post. The drone would come with your food, drop it in. It had like a locker basically. You would type in your code and then you would take out your food, and that was it. Like no human interaction whatsoever, just straight up robotics on full display and integrated in life, like common, and the US is a tiny little bit behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I know Nils says it all the time. At first I was kind of wondering, God, why would you want to go to China? Or I guess they're not technically, I think they're in Hong Kong, but or Shenzhen.
No, they're in Hong Kong.
Shenzhen, how do you pronounce it?
Shenzhen.
But after he posted a couple examples, I mean, it was so apparent that these guys are unbelievably further along than we are in the robotics space.
Yeah, it's nuts. Here's M-Pain. Look at this.
So you pay right here with your hand.
insane. They know everything about that man.
Voila. Yeah, I don't know if I want to.
And then this is the part. Let's see here.
That's the robot will deliver the food to all the restaurants. The delivery drivers drops it here. It takes the elevator by itself and brings it right to your door.
It's so crazy, dude. Isn't that nuts?
That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like common now over there. I mean, and that just goes to show like that stuff will come here sooner than later. I mean, we will likely catch up in a lot of ways, but they are way ahead of us right now. There's no doubt.
Nope.
Yeah. I was at the UT Austin campus maybe a year ago, and I was just riding through there, and there was a Chick-fil-A robot that was delivering food to somebody when I was like, this is so cool. I literally pulled over so I could try to take a photo of it because I hadn't seen one before. But it's starting to happen, just not as quickly as the rest of us would like.
I think it's all trust, right?
It's all trust.
It's all trust. As soon as a business owner realizes like they could buy a $10,000 robot, clean the floors overnight, and it'll happen. There won't be issues, and it won't be a major problem. It's not going to like accidentally burn down your business. They'll start switching over to it. But then it's going to be a battle of, okay, how do we make it appealing in financing and stuff like that? How do we reduce risk? How do we insure it? How do we do all this thing? So I think it's a trust issue overall.
Well, it's evidence also, right? It's like trust in. I will trust it if there's evidence to support that those things haven't happened. And in those edge cases, how does it respond to doing something wrong or some emergency or something of the sort? Yeah, I don't.
In longevity, right? You don't want to spend $10,000 on a robot that lasts 6 months.
I mean, Nils talks about it, right? Like he's been on the show several times, and he says it, right? It's like that. I think I'm paraphrasing super hard here, but he goes, the last thing that you want to do as a multi-billion-dollar business, if you're a Walmart or whatever, is if you know that this robotics wave is coming, not be invested, right? Like you don't want to have to get in later when robotics are significantly more expensive, as opposed to doing all of the work that's required right now, so that when robotics is at the top of their game, your business is already leveraging all of that innovation, as opposed to having to pay the premium for the innovation, right? And a very simple example of this, I guess, in the software world was like this shift to cloud computing. At that time, like the whole migrating, like the value add was like, oh, we're going to take all your workloads off of your own data centers, and then you'll be able to to manage everything in a cloud, and everybody will have access to whatever they need, and it'll all be permissioned. And even that, right? There was like migration costs in getting those benefits after it was being tested out by AWS. I don't know. I think robotics will be a little bit different because I think people have to have way more skin in the game. If I knew the robot that took my job, it's war. So Tech is saying that it's on site. Once he sees that drone delivery robot pull up to his crib while he's getting ready to do Uber Eats, it's on site. I respect that, man. You're fighting for your job. No, I'm just fucking with you, but I do see the 117, so I'm assuming he's a Halo fan.
Dude, I got friends that their job is to repair the robots that Walmart has, the automation stuff that those jobs pay freaking great.
Yeah.
Are you
It's
kidding
gonna
me?
open up a lot of jobs in that realm. for
40,
sure.
50, $60 an hour for some of those guys. Like those jobs pay great.
Yeah.
Go be a warehouse worker for 20 or go repair the robot that does a job for 40 or 50. Like,
Yeah.
It's going to be a really good opportunity for a lot of people, I think.
Just to draw up the parallel right now, next to the massive AI companies that also have their own data centers, do you know another sector of data centers, like a subsector that's accelerating massively? Data center cleaning services for data centers are also, like, the businesses that do that are growing massively. So yeah, like similar to when cars came into production and the horse and carriage thing went away and we started having vehicles, there's going to be, as this new technology comes into play, there will be new jobs available, and part of that will certainly be maintenance and repair. And I think the vertical for robot repair is also going to be something to pay attention to. Robot training, right? Like, I don't know. I think there's just like this overarching story or narrative that perhaps what Matrix wrote about all those years ago is finally coming true. Like, all we are is something to power and train the robots, and the robots will do all of it for us, right? I don't know. Maybe
Yeah. Well, I know that there was just an interview that Elon Musk did, and he said in the somewhat near future, we will not have to be working because, maybe they'll have to have people that are still continually maintaining these things, but we'll get to the point where everything is just handled by robots and we can sit back and create stuff.
That'll be the lower class guys. Don't worry about that. We're upper class people.
Did you see that was with the Indian guy, right?
No, it was with a woman. I don't know her name, but
I didn't see it then.
Yeah. But to your point about how everything changes and goes, I always say in tech, the show Silicon Valley was so ahead of their time because they've just absolutely nailed every aspect of what goes on, and it's still true today, even though the show is like 10 years old. But there was like a clip where they were on the Bloomberg show, and they were asking about, oh, what's going to happen, what's going to change, and the response that he gave was manure. He's like, manure. And so then he went into this monologue about there were, back in the horse and carriage day, they were saying, God, New York City is going to become effectively underwater because the amount of people that need these horse and carriages is going to create so much of this manure that New York's just going to become swallowed up. But they hadn't envisioned what would happen when the cars come along, and so that completely just changed the paradigm where now you no longer need all of these people that are going and cleaning up the horse poop. And so I think that will continue to be true as all of these technological changes happen.
Yeah.
Wow,
Tech Around is even asking, like, well, what about with office jobs? Yeah, probably the same thing. I mean, is there when I worked at IBM, we used to have this product that was called like the like Mr. Robot or some shit like that. Like it was just like a little nickname or whatever. But the whole point of that product was you could have it watch what you did and automate that process. So if it was, you would open a new tab, and then on that tab you would download a CSV file, and then it would take the content. You would have to copy and paste the content from the CSV file and post it onto a Google Doc, and then the Google Doc would then send to some other automation, whatever the fuck it was. The idea was that it could copy all of it and then run that automation on your behalf. So yeah, I think even office jobs at some point that are all repetitive, that too will eventually be automated away. We'll see.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, Tyler, the guy
on the cutting edge of it.
The guy who doesn't watch TV just did a whole TV analogy. I thought that was very interesting.
There are a handful of shows that I do find enjoyable enough to spend time watching, and Silicon Valley is one of them, mostly because it's so unbelievably accurate, and it's also comical. So you can watch someone else going through the pain of all these things that startup people go through on a day-to-day basis. But I've watched that show more than one time. So
you never want to make revenue, okay? Because once you start making revenue, then you become the 2x dog. You always want to be pre-revenue, so that way you could be a potential pure play.
Yeah, Quiznos.
Bar, bro.
That's a bar.
Just insane. I'm telling you, the vision that show had is incredible. I haven't watched all of it, but the vision was just impeccable, and all of it in a very funny way. Highly recommend. Maybe that's what we should do is like a monthly newsletter where we just recommend shows. Except every month, all we recommend is Silicon Valley.
Yeah, that would be the only. I only have like 3 or 4 shows that I've watched enough of to be able to recommend. So I don't know how much I could expand that list outside of Silicon Valley.
Well,
And
that's
Suits. I've watched Suits a couple times too.
but that's the joke is like it's just Silicon
No. I know. I'm just saying it would have to be confined to that one option.
and nothing else. Yeah, I've been watching. I'm waiting for the new season of Invincibles. That's I became a massive fan very quickly. So, but that's an animated show. If any of you guys are excited about that, gentlemen. So it is 9:10, and I'm thinking it's dinner time for me. Do we have any closing thoughts that we want to leave our audience with?
Read a
Who goes
book.
first?
I just
Take
started
care of
this one. Dude,
Nice.
I finished this book. This book was a good read, but it was a tough read.
Mm.
Like it was one where you had to like be dialed in every freaking step of the way. It was like a lot, but it was
Do you
good.
reread pages if you don't understand it?
Yeah, sometimes I had to do that sometimes because I sometimes you find yourself kind of like you're reading and then your mind is wandering.
Yep.
That happened a lot more in this book than normal. So I just say like, I don't know, maybe that's also because CZ and Binance have like fucked up our world for the last 6 weeks, and my mind's been wandering from that. But no, this one was a tough one. It was talking about basically how we started quantitative easing, started printing money, while we like forced every other central bank to follow our lead, essentially, and bullied everybody and then blamed them for it.
Yep.
This one, yeah, this one I just started. This one's actually pretty, so far, been an easy read, Lord of Easy Money. So I'm excited about that one. But yeah, man,
Picked
read.
up this one right here, the beginning of Infinity. Had it recommended to me, and man, just from I just started it, but like from the intro alone, I'm like really digging it. So it's been a nice read so far. I did want to give a quick little highlight to Flywheel. Pied Piper's new internet was a decentralized peer-to-peer network that was using a revolutionary compression algorithm to leverage the unused power of smartphones. I'm telling you, he's a visionary.
Ahead of its time, man.
Yeah.
Sounds like a deep in play to me.
Facts. Pure play.
Mhm.
Potential pure play.
Yeah,
Brian,
100%.
what else do you got for us? Any other closing thoughts?
It's the end of the year. The market's been an absolutely hell. 2025 has been the craziest year on record for me. And I say that at this point in time, the play is to invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. Let's get through the year. Let's see this market go. And hope 2026 we actually see some bullish news and the market will actually react to it. So invest in yourself, get working out, get a tan, drink a lot of water, read a book.
It's tan.
Preach.
Jim Tan
Snap.
Laundry.
Tyler.
I don't know if I have much of a final take. I'm kind of excited to see what happens in 2026. New year creates fresh starts. So we'll see what happens and just keep watching.
Mm-hmm. Brad, what have you got?
Man, it has been a crazy year. I was talking to, I think, my brother about this, or maybe I was talking to Tyler about this. Like, this has been probably the biggest year of self-development I've ever had. And the amount that I've learned this year is crazy. At the same time, like the market conditions have been, we were talking about this before we went live. I was like, if you would have asked me a year ago what my, best worst case scenarios were, like, this is way worse than I ever would have imagined 2025 could have been. So while it has been a great year of personal growth, I'm ready to move on to the next year, man. And I think, we'll see where things go. I don't think we'll have like all the tariff craziness and all the shit that we dealt with this year. There's part of me that thinks that Trump wanted to get that out of the way early in his presidency to give himself a chance to turn things around before the midterms and hopefully have a lot of strength in the second half of the presidency. So we'll see how that plays out. But man, I think DPIM's in the best position it's ever been in. Not looking at the charts, but as far as the projects, where they're at with revenue, needing more participation and having not enough supply, but more demand, it's crazy. And the open market buys being announced, I think we're seeing a trend now going that direction. Like, I feel super confident. Like if we didn't know what the charts looked like and just looked at the fundamentals right now, I would think that we're like freaking all-time highs, like going bananas. So there's a disconnect. At some point, things have to reconnect. That's what I'll say about that. And that's my final thought.
Yeah, my final thoughts is very aligned here. We're early, super, super early. And, especially the whole notion around we don't have enough supply to meet the demand. I mean, I could tell you from 375 perspective is like this whole beta testing, which by the way, we are running a super early beta test all around the world, but like particularly interested in New York City. If you know somebody in New York or you are from New York, hit me up. I have something for you. But this whole beta program is very much to meet demand. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to iterate quickly so that we can meet that opportunity. And these are such great problems to have. They're a problem, but it's a great problem to have. And I couldn't agree more with you, Brad. It's like if I looked at all this stuff from a fundamentals point of view, I would think that it's never looked better. So if there are things that you believe in and that you have conviction in that several years from now will probably be worth more than what it is, not financial advice, but maybe take the bet. So yeah, that's all I got as well.
If you're in New York City, Quez will expose himself to you in a non-harmful way.
Jesus Christ. I will not be exposing anything to anybody except my love.
The beta.
Just the beta. Yeah, that's all. That's it. That's all they're getting exposed to. That and a whole bunch of Cuban coffee and good spirits. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been another awesome episode of the Deep In Happy Hour. We do this every week on Thursdays. Be sure to catch us again at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard next week. Follow all the speakers here. Will was not unable to join us, but he's also an individual to follow as well. It's been almost a year now that we've been in the game, and still trekking along. So yeah, we'll see you again next week. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Peace. Yeah, I think next week's our 1 year.
Next week is our 1 year.
I think so. Yeah.
Incredible.
Ooh, here we go.
1 more year. Excuse me, 1 more week. Then a 1 year anniversary. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a joy. We'll see you next time. Take care. Call your mother. If you haven't done that recently, you should. We love you all. Be nice to people. Peace, 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 peace.
Don't forget to spade neuter your cats and dogs.
That's right. You're listening.